With the Bolshevik Revolution after World War II, new rifles were being made constantly in the arms race, develop into the Cold War. Stalin, Lenin, constantly on the move for newer rifles. It wasn't until 1944 Sergei Simonov created the SKS, the self-loading centerfire carbine. The rifle itself is epic, Soviet surplus. Its time in service was short. In my opinion, one of the most underrated rifles of all time. So I'll quit wasting time, let's get into it.
It was 1941 in the Soviet Union. The German military had an operation called Barbarossa. They invaded the Eastern Front all the way up and through Moscow. The Red Army was under-equipped. However, due to fighting conditions and knowing the land and the tactical areas, Soviets were fortunate enough to push the Germans back far enough. During this time, Soviet engineers were trying to come up with new weapons, small arms, and artillery to aid and assist in the World War II efforts. They had received aid from the United States to push back. Some of these men working out of the Russian Tula Armory were Fyodor Tokarev, Vladimir Fyodorov, and an engineer by the name of Sergei Gavrilovich Simonov. Simonov pioneered the modern-day assault rifle for Soviets.
Semenyev was born in 1894 in Fedotovo, Russian Empire. He began immediately working in a steel fabrication foundry immediately after completing his elementary school studies by the end of World War I. After completing a basic technician's course of instruction, he began working on pioneering automatic rifles designed by Vladimir Fyodorov Automat after the Russian Revolution. Semenyev continued further at the Moscow Polytechnic Institution, graduating in 1924 to work at Russia's giant Tula arsenal. By 1926, he had become a quality control inspector at Tula. 1927, he became promoted into the Soviet Design and Development Department, where he worked directly under Fyodorov. The Semenyev AVS-36 entered service in the 1930s, which service in the early part of World War II up to about 1940. Or so, where it was replaced by other semi-automatic designs. Eventually, he also began an apprenticeship under Tokarev, famous creator of the pistol, 7.62-54 rifles, and rapid, reliable functioning and development of semi-automatic rifle. In 1935, competition between Semenyev and Tokarev was held. Semenyev's rifle emerged as the winner, the AVS-36, and it was seen in the public by 1938 on Parade Day in Moscow. It was standard issued, however, it did have issues in the field, and they re-evaluated Tokarev's rifle, ended up going back into service. Semenyev continued to experiment with his design. He believed the less functioning parts that the rifle had, and the more basic it could be, the better off it would be for your infantry. The recoil hang was too heavy, and perhaps found the issue may be in fact with the ammunition. Although the AVS-36 was hindered, it used the round 7.62 54mm R, which was the standard amongst Russian rifles at the time. Tokarev's rifle was superior and had less problems in the field. However, the main issue that Semenyev was facing was the fact that ammunition he was using for that rifle was too powerful, therefore in closer up engagements tended to have more issues. By 1943, advances in thinking and confirmed data show engagements took place approximately 100 meters to 300 meters. This led to the adoption of a shorter, less powerful round, the 7.62-39mm, the M1943, also known as 7.62 Soviet or 7.62 short. This differentiated from all the other 7.62 calibers. Field trials proved that rifles with this caliber in close quarter were the best for assault combat. In 1944, Semenyev had finally finished the development of the SKS carbine. It was actually adopted into the Red Army and was in commission until shortly for 1948, until Kalashnikov released the AK-47. The rifle had an internal 10-round magazine with a bottom trap door, similar to the M1 Garand. The rifle later on, they did develop detachable magazines that could hold up to 60 rounds. It was cheap, easy to manufacture. It ran off a long gas-powered piston with a high recoil spring, making the recoil from the shorter rounds, 7.62 by 39mm, more accurate.
easier for combat in close quarter. Although the rifle had a short lifespan, it was sold to other allies of the USSR and Soviet Union. The SKS was mass-produced, and although it was phased out when the AK-47 came around, the USSR used it as an opportunity to sell to their allies in other communist countries and states. The mass production of the steel-cased 7.62 by 39 or 7.62 Soviet also presented another opportunity for the USSR to protect the common territories with their common interest of their allies. Different variations of the SKS had came around since. The Yugo, you have, of course, the Russian-based, as well as Orenco, the Chinese-based. Since its inception, the SKS has been in every single conflict, all the way up through Afghanistan and the War on Terror. In the United States and Canada, the SKS has become a popular rifle for sporting, as the surplus price is cheap and the ammo is affordable as well. Semyonov would want to develop other firearms and weapons. He'd received multiple awards throughout his life, but nothing his accomplishment as big as the SKS.